Commence primary ignition.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
What a piece of junk.
Enterprise, this is the captain.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's all part of the plan.
Engage.
Welcome back to Podcast 2 for 1. I am your host, Donovan Thompson, with my co-host,
Daniel Wingfield.
And today we are
In our new studio.
in a new studio. Look at that.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada boom, bada bing. The opposite of what Daniel
Kinda
just
copied.
said.
Yeah.
No, it was the opposite, actually.
So worse.
Anyway, we are back with more news, and then we're also going to talk about Picard.
We are.
And then we're going to,
Indeed.
and as well as going to snap to Johnnie Brannon of Made in Arkansas, and a local filmmaker here in the natural state. And we're going to talk about the Made in Arkansas Festival and just some maybe tips and tricks if you want to be involved in the film community and things that might kind of help you out or benefit you.
How to make the most of a film festival experience.
Exactly. So we're going to get to that. First of all, let's get into some news.
Newsy news.
News. Okay, so real quick, Guardians of the Galaxy will be in Thor 4.
Right. We don't know how much. Yeah, and
it's interesting.
I do wonder, if I had to guess what it's going to be like, they're going to be in the first 25 to 30% of the movie.
I can see that.
Thor will have to go off by himself to do things.
And maybe also in the end or something.
Exactly. They're going to come back for the final battle.
Yeah.
In some way.
Man, well, I'm actually really excited for this movie now.
Oh,
as
soon as Endgame ended and they went off together, I was like, sign me up for any movie that's those guys together.
I don't know why, but after they had they announced Thor: Love and Thunder with Jane coming back as I kind of just assumed it was going to be. I don't know. I felt like the movies would come out first, but it was going to maybe take place after Guardians of the Galaxy. So I don't know. It's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah. I just kind of assumed it was just because we got that team up at the end of Endgame, and that was for me one of the funniest parts of Infinity War and Endgame was that Guardians Thor dynamic. It's just wonderful.
No, it's is a great part of it. One other cool thing right now, Bloodshot is Vin Diesel is doing the news press for Bloodshot, which we will be reviewing next week. And look out for that baby cast. And so he's talking about they're of course going to ask him about Guardians of the Galaxy and everything else.
Yeah.
And
sometimes I still forget he's in it.
Yeah, he's Groot. Well, that's what I'm talking about is that he we've had. I don't know if you know this, but they've kind of said that the Groot in Guardians 1 was not full grown Groot. He was just Groot. And then we got Baby Groot and we got Teenage Groot. Right. And now Vin Diesel said you're going to get Alpha Groot.
But I know we also knew that Baby Groot is original Groot's like baby. It's like his son.
It's not.
Offspring, right?
Yeah, it's not actually Groot.
It's not Groot. It's
even
like
though
offspring.
I like to think that he is, but I mean.
Well, I mean, once you've met one Groot, you kind of met them all.
You've met them all.
No.
Anyway, new Black Widow trailer dropped. A final trailer. Got a little more pizzazz in there. A little more.
Definitely big budget film.
Of course.
Yeah, definitely lots of explosions, lots of stunts. I mean, it still looks fun. It just looks like a more like down to earth Marvel action thriller. Honestly, it's giving me some Winter Soldier vibes.
It does. I mean, and that's a good thing because they had a lot of success critically and just in amongst
Winter
fans.
Soldier's top 3 Marvel movie all time to me.
They kind of said recently that they felt like they couldn't tell the story till now because she was on a certain trajectory with the Avengers, and now that's ended and her story there's concluded that they're it's the right time to kind of go back and kind of fill in some of the gaps. So
yeah, it's an interesting decision. I think what I'm kind of most excited for as far as just an MCU level, there's got to be things that they either bring up or threads they leave open that are picked up in future films.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Marvel making this film and being like, yep, it's nothing we introduce is going anywhere. So I'm excited to see what threads they open up or what characters they introduce that we might see later.
I can definitely see something's going to happen where a character's going to jump to a TV show or they're going to carry on the Black Widow mantle.
Yeah,
something.
Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure who's the Stranger Things guy, the Red Baron.
Sorry, David Harbour.
What's his character's name? The Red something.
Oh man, I knew. Red Guardian.
Red Guardian.
Yeah,
sorry.
Red Guardian.
I really want him to live. I don't see any way he's going to make it out of this movie alive.
I would be kind of surprised if none of them make it out.
Well, obviously, ScarJo, but
I mean, besides ScarJo, I mean,
I want him to. I would love to see him in a big team up battle too. Like
it'd be cool.
He seems really good on screen as the Red Baron too. Like his.
I think it'd just be kind of like weird that. It's like the Rogue One thing. It's kind of weird that why didn't she mention them or talk about them?
Have you heard the funny? Okay, I know you haven't seen the end of seen Stranger Things. Light spoilers.
Right.
Season 3 has to do with Russia.
Yeah, I did.
And David
see the
Harbour
thing.
does end up in Russia at the end.
Yeah.
And so everyone's like, is Stranger Things a prequel
Yeah,
to
that's
this
funny.
movie?
Yeah,
This is
I-
how he ends up there.
I saw those memes and everything. And
Yeah, it's
I saw.
pretty funny.
I got spoiled. I think everyone got spoiled with season 4 of
Yeah.
Stranger Things, I guess. But
Yeah, I
about
think
what his
with the first teaser.
ultimate fate was. Yeah. The Eternals teaser's around the corner because of Black Widow.
Yes.
we're
Getting a
gonna
lot
get
of
some-
Camille Nanjiani men's health photo shoots. They're
Yeah.
beautiful. Go look at them.
Yeah, they're amazing. Loki has been confirmed by Bob Iger at 2021, the beginning of the year. So something we kind of always suspected, but now it's
That makes sense.
officially
Yeah.
confirmed. And apparently Owen Wilson might be in the show. And
I also saw that. How do you see him fitting in? I mean,
he could be anybody. I don't know. I mean,
I feel like
actually
Owen
really
Wilson is
Owen
like
Wilson.
kind of always Owen Wilson in like every role.
Yeah.
It'll be
Have you
interesting
ever
to try to get
seen
something different out
Have
of
you
him.
ever seen the Shanghai Noon movies?
Yeah.
Those are fun.
They're real fun, but he's still kind of just Owen Wilson.
He is. Yeah. I just like.
You know what I mean?
I just
love
wanted
that.
to.
Oh yeah, Jackie Chan and
I just wanted to
Owen
bring up
Wilson?
Shanghai Noon because I love
Fantastic.
it so much.
Fantastic.
Also, next year, the What If series, the animated series from Marvel Studios on Disney Plus is coming out, confirmed in 2021 is summer, and it's going to have 10 episodes. So
I'm into it. I'm really excited for that. I think it'll be
I'm
fun.
kind of like, I don't really care. I'm not into What If scenarios. I think it'll
like
be
it.
fun.
It's fun.
We'll
Each one of them kind of has their own animation style, I believe.
Yeah, if we're not all dead by then, we'll definitely cover it.
True.
Yeah. Speaking of that,
Speaking of death,
somewhat different side note. Next week we will be doing a episode.
the Corona time episode.
The Corona time episode.
We're gonna drink Coronas.
Yep.
We're going to debate the movies Contagion and Outbreak.
Yes.
Because what else is the best, most appropriate movies to watch right now?
Of course.
And drink Coronas.
And drink Coronas
Yeah.
while we do it for no reason, just
Just
we
because
like
it's
beer, I guess.
because they're sponsoring us.
That's
because
it.
you know what? Corona needs all the help they can get right now because there is a large portion of the
Man.
world that thinks you get coronavirus from Corona beer.
I mean,
well, technically you could get it from Corona Light. That stuff's gross.
That's
but
true.
Corona Extra, no way.
that's true.
No way. It tastes too good.
There you go. So
Especially the
be on
wine.
the lookout for that. And one thing real quick, Mulan's around the corner, right? And it's not being pushed around, I believe, from the coronavirus.
That just seems impossible with China shutting down so many theaters.
I know, but here's the thing though. It's also it's getting like really good reviews. They're saying that it's the best one. It's the best live action Disney adaptation. So
Not saying a lot, but sure.
yeah, I mean, there's some
The rest of the movies were just like
I
shot
like-
for shot remakes.
I kind of like Beauty and the Beast actually. I think it's because I don't have a big tie to that cartoon.
Yeah.
So like to me it was like, oh, it's nice because it's a live action version.
Gotcha.
A couple cool things in the comic area, DC.
Couple cool things.
There's a miniseries. It was announced a couple of years ago, I believe, by Jeff Johns, and I may have mentioned this in the past before, but it's called Three Jokers, and it's basically it explains basically these three different types of Jokers that have been active in Gotham for the last 50, 60 years.
So it's
the
like
comics.
basically the idea that there has been more than one Joker.
Exactly. There's the Joker, like New 52 Joker. There's the classical Joker.
Like classical is in like 1960s Joker.
Yeah, the kind of more comical one, the more like zany one, and then there's
Yeah.
like the one that like from the 80s that end up beating or killing Jason Todd and
Of
beating
the more dark, sinister, gruesome one.
kind of. Then there's like the new one, the psych.
I feel like the one in the 80s. I feel like what I get like Joker in Arkham series vibes.
yeah,
You know, like that, just like creepy.
Yeah,
and
I would say he's-
gruesome and
it's-
insane, but in a creepier way than like a zany way.
I could be a little wrong on like those descriptions, but that's the general idea though, and it's
Interesting.
gonna be interesting to see how that changes the comics. And they finally announced that it's coming out, I believe, in June or July this year. So
But so all these three Jokers are supposed to take place, like exist in the same timeline. kind
yeah,
of
it's
thing?
all
And-
like it's the mystery of the three Jokers. There was something that happened called the Dark Side Wars about 3, 4, 5 years ago, where there's a chair that I can't think of his name, but basically you sit in the chair and you ask it a question, and it goes
Yeah.
ping, and it tells you the answer. And it's like all knowing. And Batman got in the chair for like a second, and he says, "Tell me the identity of the Joker," and he was like, "It goes ping," and he goes, "Impossible." So it's like this big. It's been like a mystery like for like 4 or 5 years now.
Interesting.
So it's like
Do you
we'll
think
finally
they're
get
gonna? Do you think this will result in a canon or Joker origin?
I don't know. I think the artist, Jason Fabok, who's amazing. He come out and said it's one of the craziest things ever done to canon, and I'm just Really looking forward to
Feels like they're setting it up
reaction.
to be big.
Yeah.
In terms of like canon
Yeah,
repercussions.
it's kind of big
Cool.
stuff.
Hopefully DC Comics isn't shut down before that happens.
Yeah, for sure. They could.
Or the world.
Speaking of Joker, there's rumor that Johnny Depp could be the new Joker.
Yeah.
And the Matt Reeves Batman movies.
It's interesting
weird.
because he's an actor that I feel like could potentially bring something to the Joker role we haven't seen. But at the same time, he could just be like kind of weird Jack Sparrow Joker and not be great. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I'm interested because I think Johnny Depp's an interesting character actor, and I want to see what he might do with that role.
Right.
But I'm worried that there's nothing drastically new to do with the role at this point. You know what I mean? Like
I don't know. It's also
things have been
so
done so
quick.
well.
We had. I mean, you really think about it.
We're 6 months off Joaquin.
We had Heath in 2007 or 8,
Yep.
and then we had Jared Leto 2000,
Which no one
cares.
acknowledge.
No one cares. Yeah, we had him in 2016, 17, and in between
16,
then,
I think.
in
Yeah,
between this time period, not sure exactly when, but we had the TV show Joker from Gotham, which
Right.
actually was some interesting stuff going on there.
Yeah,
even though the show is abysmal.
Caught a few of the headline moments from it.
And then now we have Joaquin, of course.
Right.
And then now they're talking about another Joker. So it's kind of like, man, we're kind of getting a lot. And
We are.
I kind of am worried about, on top of like you have the Harley Quinn boom of like popularity of where she's just inherently tied to the character. And it's kind of like, are we Jokered out at this point? I don't know. Am I Jokered out? I guess if it's done well, I'm not. But
Yeah. I mean, it's a good question. Like, we've had more Joker in the last few years than we've had Batman.
I know.
And
Kind of disappointing. Maybe that'll change.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's kind of interesting.
It is.
Johnny Depp is the Joker. I never would have. I could imagine it. I don't think I ever thought it would be a great idea. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I just don't know if it's a great idea.
I can see him working as like an eccentric villain character.
Yeah.
Obviously, just because he's kind of an eccentric actor.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
We'll see.
It's really interesting.
It is.
Real quick,
Interesting.
I want to talk about Picard, and then I want to get into some gaming news.
Let's do it.
But real quick, moving forward, what we're going to do with the show is, sometimes a show comes out and they announce there's 10 episodes, which is actually it's good that we're doing this in this day and age because it would have been like 24 or 10 years ago. We've been really screwed over.
Yeah.
But we want to kind of keep everything at a nice and neat, an organized way for you can find it on YouTube with playlists and just in general topics and everything else. And the way we're going to do that is that if we're watching a show and either the episode count is too long or we're feeling like we're kind of running out of things to say about the show.
Or just moving on even an intro. Because I mean, sometimes shows come out. I mean, Picard's a good example that I was incredibly hyped for. And we're 7 episodes in and my hype has been tempered quite a bit. There's still some things I'm enjoying, but it's not a show that I want to spend 10 20 minutes every week divulging over.
Exactly.
Because eventually it's just going to become a bitch fest.
Exactly.
Where I'm saying the same things I don't like about it over and over
Exactly.
again. And you don't want that. I don't want that.
Yeah. And so moving forward, we will, if say a show has 10 episodes, as an example, we will cover maybe the first arc or the first couple episodes, and then we will batch it, and we'll cover the rest of the episodes in like
batch baby.
Yeah, and kind of like a
a roundup. We're gonna
episode roundup.
We'll finish it. We'll talk about our thoughts on the series as a whole.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
And then in that way you can still find it on the channels and such, and you can kind of, and also we can kind of keep things fresh and always moving forward and not we don't want to talk about Star Trek forever if you don't like Star Trek.
True.
Hell, I like Star Trek.
I'm
not sure I can talk about it.
I could talk about The Next Generation a lot more than I could talk about Picard.
Exactly.
Love that show.
Sure. So that's kind of we're moving forward. So we'll be doing that with Picard. So in a couple of weeks when the show ends, we'll kind of do a roundup, and also I'll get to catch up as well.
Right.
And then we'll also do that with our Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Yes.
The first arc here is with the Bad Batch. So the first 4 episodes we will cover that, and then we'll revisit again 6 weeks later.
Yep.
After all 10 have dropped, and we will cover the last remaining 6 episodes.
Sounds good. I think it's 12.
It may be 12. It may be.
I feel like it's
12.
up
Up until May. So yeah, you're probably right. 12 episodes.
Either way,
we'll
come back to it. We'll give our thoughts as a full picture because too, like those short episodes, it's harder to get 10 minutes of talking content out of a 20-minute episode.
Speaking of Picard. Episode 7.
Yeah.
So let's get to 7 and tell me what your thoughts, and then we're going to talk a little bit about things happening in the world and some game stuff, and then we'll snap over to Johnny.
Sure. So episode 7, I will say it like this: another slow episode, and I've been reading some articles, interviews with the creators, and they the kind of way they're trying to talk about the show is that this is a character study. It's not a plot heavy show. The issue is they introduced a lot of plot
and a lot of new characters.
and a lot of new characters.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like they say that, but at the same time, what they're writing isn't necessarily congruent with that. It is sometimes. And I would say this episode actually has some more of that character study that I enjoyed. So the big headline is Riker and Deanna are back. We get to see Will and Deanna with their daughter living secluded on
nice.
Retired on this planet.
Yeah.
Like so basically they're running away from the Romulans. They got Soji finally. And they go there, which is it makes sense. That's like a Picard's first instinct is people to protect him, and there's just some really wonderful moments just seeing Will and Diane interact with each other, and there's so much where you're like, man, for moments I'm like, I'm back on the bridge, I'm back on the Enterprise bridge, like I'm seeing these interactions and seeing Deanna Troi talk about things that the perspective of her empathetic powers and having Will Riker. It's just there's just some wonderful things about it. At the same time, there was some not the best written lines, or maybe just delivered poorly. There was things there was these moments where they're almost trying to lecture Picard, and the things they're saying, you're like, that's not true.
Really?
You're kind of like. But he didn't.
I know my Picard.
That. Or no, but it's like he's saying Will makes some little classic Picard arrogance, not letting people decide for themselves, and or something like that. I'm like, but he doesn't do that. Yeah, he hasn't done that this whole season.
It seems like more of a Kirk kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's like they're making these comments, and you're like, what? There's moments like that you're just like, what? Who's writing this?
Yeah.
Who's writing this? Then there's other moments where, they were kind of cutting back between some action. And, that I talked about the samurai guy that introduced. He ends up staying behind last episode to defend their escape, which seems totally unnecessary even when you're watching. You're like, but there's no, you could have gotten away. There's no reason to defend the escape. It doesn't make sense. And then he's stays behind again with the other ship that was going to teleport him away and take them with him. And he's like, no, I'm going to stay here and help. And then the guy who's trying to help dies shortly after. It's just it's just these weird decisions are I just don't know where this is going or what this is trying to be. And it's
kind of
discombobulated. It's very discombobulated. There are sections of the show that are classic Star Trek, but there's so much of it that is failing, just stumbling, trying to be classic Star Trek or trying to be something else, and just it doesn't mesh with the Star Trek formula, the Star Trek stuff. So I'm going to finish it. We only got 3 episodes left. I'm interested to see what it ends up as. I mean, they kind of left it where you feel like this is the last time we see Will and Diana.
Oh, okay.
He does mention, he has one kind of offhand comment that's technically I'm, what is he, reserve, but only in a very certain situation would I ever even consider coming back to Starfleet. So, they feel like the door's open, but I don't see them coming back for this season, maybe in a future one.
Yeah. Do you think we'll get a season 2?
Yes.
I think
this is getting a lot of hype. I'm sure they're.
Is it do you know if it's doing?
I'm sure it's. I don't know numbers, but I would assume, I think it's a safe assumption that it has upped CBS's all access.
Oh, I'm sure.
Viewer, their subscribers, which is what they want.
It's probably one of those things that even if it's not that great, Star Trek fan, diehard ones are going to be.
Exactly. Now you might be like me, and you are, voting with your wallet to say, you know what, CBS All Access is a trash streaming service, and they need to get their shit together before I pay for it. And so, we may go through other means to access the television.
We won't discuss those means.
No, because
over the internet,
they don't even really exist unless. I don't know where I was going.
Yeah,
it's kind of a Matrix situation.
There you go.
With
the Matrix,
the dark web,
blue pill or red pill.
I like blue, so
there you go. I like the red pill.
I couldn't remember for a second which one did what.
I like to be out of the fucking Matrix, so I want the red pill.
I am the fucking Matrix.
Speaking of the one, I'm kidding.
He did it again.
There's no segue there. I was just,
okay. Well, you had me in the first half.
I know. I had a dead end there. One thing I want to also mention. We may mention it later in the episode, but just in case, I just want to mention it twice. So if you want to, before we stop to Johnny real quick, we're going to talk about some coronavirus stuff and some just general gaming things. But if you want to see more Johnnie Brannon, We reviewed Onward, so check that previous episode out. And then by the time this drops, I believe
Should be tomorrow.
this is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
by the time this drops, Onward will still be available for you to go
there
watch.
you go. And then on Friday we have our very first ever live recording
Nope.
dropping.
Nope.
Friday.
Babycast is Friday.
What's today?
Today's Babycast. Tomorrow's normal cast. Friday's another Babycast. Saturdays.
No.
You were doing it every other one.
No.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah. No, Saturday's Babycast.
Okay.
Saturday's
Saturday's Babycast.
We're booking and I'm
You know what? I just show up. I just show up. I get a paycheck. I go home.
There you go. All that Patreon money. So then we'll have our live recording of 1999 Batman on there, and you can watch that and just kind of see.
It's a quick 30-minute episode.
It's a quick one.
It's just fun interacting.
It was
with
just fun.
Hundreds
yeah.
of fans.
And shout out to Ron Robinson for letting us do that. And hopefully we can
Yeah.
do more live events in the future.
Indeed.
On top of that, next week we will be doing Bloodshot Babycast review with Matt Mitchell. And then we will also have, again, our Corona Time episode.
We should come in with our eyes all bloodshot.
We should.
Let's get really high. We'll just
No.
all come in blaze with bloodshot eyes and do it with bloodshot
I could
eyes.
just punch you in the eyes and they could do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
No?
I'd rather smoke weed. but-
Okay. Well, let's go real quick. So what has happened? What's happened in the entertainment industry lately?
I mean, it's shutting down. I mean, the big news
Yeah.
is the ESA has canceled E3,
It's pretty big.
which is a huge deal. I mean, I feel like a lot of people feel this is the end of E3 as we know it.
I kinda
It's
feel
no
that.
longer being this
yeah.
giant trade show and like event with ridiculous like stage shows and
Yeah.
more of a digital presence. And I think they already said in their release saying, yeah, we're looking into like how it digitally kind of still do the event.
Yeah, in
which
June maybe and some.
well, but here's the thing. I mean, I think the rumors are that PlayStation will announce PlayStation 5 sometime in May. I wouldn't be
is that
surprised.
supposed to announce at E3 or like to
No,
show?
they're not. PlayStation backed out of
That's
E3
right.
in
That's right.
January.
That's right.
They weren't coming at all, which was another sign of its downfall. But Microsoft has said they will be doing some kind of equivalent live stream, digital stream that will basically be their conference.
You know, they've already spent like a lot of this money. They're prepping for the sets. Or,
Yeah, and I wonder.
think.
I mean, some of it may be refundable, but probably not a lot of it. So yeah, there's
interesting.
a lot of costs being eaten here, and even a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal for Los Angeles, and like, and it's
Yeah,
even
for the-
really a bigger deal for like these smaller game companies that go to E3 not to show off their game necessarily, but to connect with distributors or to connect
Right.
with other people they might work with. Like there's all these stories about big things happening at E3. Like a game is on its deathbed and they finally find funding, like from a
Right.
chance meeting at a lunch or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's probably where the most losses will be felt is at the lower levels. These big companies, Microsoft, Sony, they're fine. They have plenty of money.
Even though like I've seen the writing on the wall for like the last year or two and kind of seen
Sure.
Sony leaving and then Xbox is other presence, but even Nintendo kind of drawing back. It seems like
Well, they've been doing their
and
whole
showing
life.
just
They just do a
one-
direct.
exactly
For the past few
right.
years. It's been, I think, 3 or 4.
Even though it's been on like happening, in front of us for a while. To me, like I'm not an avid gamer anymore as I used to be, but it was always nice and cool. Like whenever
Yeah.
E3 happened, like it kind of gets that gamer in me like reawakened.
It's like there's not. I'm trying to think of an equivalent. There's not really one. I mean, it's.
I mean, I won't
it's
lie,
like it's the biggest. It has been in the past the biggest event in gaming all year, every
Right.
year.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's part award show. There's always like an E3 game of E3 that's picked. There's all these awards, and they don't mean a lot, but they still get put on boxes as stickers.
right.
Yeah, I mean it's a big deal that it's going away. I mean, I feel like we're going to get all of the announcements we would have gotten anyway. They'll just be kind of like surprise stream releases. I know there's a big rumor that WB was going to be there with
Yeah.
a new Harry Potter game that got leaked a couple years ago, a new Batman game, and a new other game that some people think may be Superman.
Very excited
in the
for that.
Arkham, the Arkham style of Superman. But I think we'll still get all these news. I just think it was nice when you got like a week, and for like 4 or 5 days, it was just bam, bam, bam,
Right.
bam, big game, big demo, big release, big announcement. It was just
It was a lot.
I
It
will
was
miss
fun.
that.
Yeah, me too. I was looking forward to just streaming E3 in here, like just having.
Oh
it
yeah,
on.
It's like the whole week you just have it on, and you're just
Yeah.
It's just fun. It's just
It
like
is.
a fun event. It feels like it's the Super Bowl week of video games.
It is, yeah.
That's really what it is.
And other things that's got canceled. Now I don't think we talked about this last week. We might have.
Okay.
with South by Southwest.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it. I think it canceled early this week.
Maybe it did.
Yeah, South by South. That's a huge one.
I mean, we don't have to go in too far into it, but yeah, I mean, it's just it's happening everywhere, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking right now in our own town about schools closing
Yeah,
down,
it's true.
about potentially working from home. I mean,
Yeah,
we'll have to find a way to podcast from home,
I guess so.
or just brave the virus and just come up here.
Yeah, I think
If no one's up here,
I think for payment, I think they should be subscribing to our channel
that's true.
either through.
You're not going to have much to do for a couple weeks.
You need to
should
kinda-
just listen to our backlog.
subscribe to our channel, turn on those notification bell, and that way you're always up to date on new episodes.
All that stuff.
As well as check out our website, podcast241.com. And again, I will mention this again at the very end of the episode, but just wanted to remind you midway through.
Should we get to Johnny?
I think
Is
we
it
should get
time?
to Johnny.
Let's get to Johnny.
You ready? And we're back, this time with Johnnie Brannon.
Himself.
Yeah, himself. So we're going to talk about The Outsider. It was the season finale.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it
That's
was.
affirmative.
Yeah.
Affirmative.
Before we get into that, Johnnie Brannon. Who is Johnnie Brannon?
We're going to spend about 20 minutes just
Yeah.
digging into what is Johnny Brannon.
Yeah, what is Johnnie Brannon?
I'm a loner and I sit at home and
Are you an outsider?
I'm an outsider.
An outsider knows an outsider TV show.
That's true. Outsiders know outsiders.
That's true.
And they know a TV show about outsiders.
Yeah. And of course, the movie The Outsiders.
Just
Not
that's
the
true.
same, though.
And the book.
With oh man. Yeah.
But they all took place in Oklahoma too.
Did they really?
What? Really?
That's weird. Wait,
Yeah.
who is the Outsider movie? The old one based off of Stephen King? It ain't the
No,
same thing.
no,
That's
no.
like S.E. Hinton. S.E.
It's
Hinton.
that old like
S.E.
gang,
Hinton.
it's like
It's got-
street
is
gang,
it
like
Patrick
kids
Sw-
like
Patrick
running around.
Swayze?
Socials and the Greasers.
Tom
at
Cruise is in
Tulsa.
it, right?
Tom Cruise is it Patrick Swayze?
Shot in Tulsa. It was
Oh, cool.
the book's based in Tulsa. She's from Tulsa.
I think also who's the other guy that's in it?
Harley Sheen.
I
don't know.
Emilio Estevez is in it.
Yeah.
Emilio.
Johnny Cade. I was thinking Johnny Cade. Yeah,
Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat.
That's his origin story, actually.
It is. Actually, that's Ralph Macchio. I think there's a Johnny. Yeah, I think that's right. Ponyboy was C. Thomas Howell.
Okay.
Anyway,
It's a good movie. It's a
Anyway,
good movie.
who
it's
is Johnny
great-
Brannon?
Great book.
Johnny, not Johnny Cade.
Great book.
But,
Johnny, you're a local actor and filmmaker, and
Yeah.
okay.
I've done some acting. I've done some filmmaking, and I do that whenever I can or whenever an opportunity comes up. And sorry about that.
That's okay.
I and also run the Made in Arkansas Film Festival.
Cool. Real quick, what is that? What?
Made in Arkansas. My nose keeps running. I don't know why it does. So
Just make it
sorry.
stop.
It's okay.
Stop.
Just make it stop.
That's dramatic.
Yell
action
at
right
it.
there. So Made in Arkansas Film Festival. We're getting ready to start our second year.
Okay.
We support and screen Arkansas made films, whether it be features or shorts, and we're here for the filmmakers. That's the most important thing, is that we support the filmmakers. And there's a lot of filmmakers out there, and a lot of film festivals don't necessarily give those guys a break. So, but we're here to try to keep everything pretty cordial and supportive, and
That's
we're
great.
the party festivals.
Are you guys
Partay.
still taking submissions right now?
Yes, we are till April 24th. Plenty of time.
And when is the screening dates for this?
May 14th through 16th.
And where is it at?
The Ron Robinson
The Ron
Theater.
Robinson Theaters.
Nice.
Ooh, we like the Ron Robinson here podcast.
We do.
241.
We're
yeah.
big fans.
Yeah. I believe
It's a teaser.
it's either maybe it's yesterday, maybe it's tomorrow.
At some point,
There's
in
at some point, there's
like a 72-hour window on either side of this
there you go.
episode.
Yeah, there's going to be an episode where we already pre-taped. Where
Pre-taped?
we did, yeah. And
With
podcast
live
stu-
studio
with
audience.
live studio audience, right? So yeah, check that out when you can. So coolio, we have The Outsider season finale.
Yeah.
Real quick, what do you guys think about it? We've been like praising it,
Yeah.
pretty
It's
religiously.
been kind of our big topic of the week. I feel like we've been talking about it more than anything. It's a single topic.
more than Picard.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately.
real quick, Johnny, what do you think about this episode?
I enjoyed it. I
Okay.
did. The series itself is fantastic. It's there's so much tension in each episode, and it's the perfect short. I mean, even just like keeping it as a one season type of a show, it would be perfect if they did wrap it up with this last episode. Whether they do or not. But I love it. I thought this last episode was interesting. There's some things in there I kind of wish that they would have revealed, I guess, more so of the outsider itself, and I'm one who I'm not a big fan of give me everything. Right. Give me a little something, just a baby pinch. I'm fine with that.
A little baby something.
Yeah, it was interesting. I agree. I enjoyed the episode. I will say the final confrontation felt a little anticlimactic.
Agreed.
Yes.
I was expecting a bit more of a bang, or even just a bit hard, like more of a challenge to get him. Like it was very simple.
Yeah,
it was
confrontation, and like how they beat him was very simple.
Guys, don't you understand the symbolism? That they can't be yelling at people. You can't, like, it's bad for society to yell at people. So if you yell at people, then like it'll crash down around them. No, it's stupid. It was dumb.
I don't think they were. You think they were going for that?
No, I was being dumb.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean they're. Yeah. No, okay. I was really confused. I was like, I didn't read that into it.
No,
okay, maybe
it was just.
yeah.
I'm sure there might have been some type of something there, but they didn't really explain.
I think it was just calling back to the story of the people that got trapped in the caves,
right?
From people shouting.
Yeah.
So it was a little anticlimactic of a last thing.
Right.
I agree though, Johnny. I wish I'd learned more about it because it was just very vague answers, and I wish they like had interrogated it or something, and maybe kept it alive at the end. Or
I'm horrible with actors and actresses' names. Who was the what was her name?
I can never think of her damn name.
Yeah, I know.
She's just nominated for Academy
Holly is her
Award.
character.
Yeah, and who I love.
She's Cynthia Erivo.
And
she was one of the best. Maybe the best part of the show.
She was incredible.
She was kind of the protagonist. And I'll get that.
She was. I would say so.
And I loved what she was doing there whenever they were in the cave, and she was trying to get the answers for everybody. And I loved what he said. Why do you believe? Why do you believe in me? Or why are you the only one?
Why did you believe so quickly? Or whatever. Yeah.
And I thought that was great. And she said that it takes an outsider to know an outsider, or something like that. And I loved that.
Don't you think? You guys know how I am with one-liners. Don't you think she should have fucking said it to him?
I do.
I wouldn't have been fucking badass.
Did a quick
if she
cut
had said that.
An outsider knows an outsider.
She goes, outsider knows an outsider, and then Middleton, because I know there's a fucking rock on his head. That'd been fucking sick,
Well, I think she just should have said it in the conversation when they were like slowly walking towards it.
It would have been amazing. That'd have been a great moment.
That'd been cool.
But they took it from me.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it would have been nice to
because people are afraid to cheat sometimes. I don't get it.
Yeah.
What were y'all expecting him to talk?
Yes.
Yeah.
When he got in there? Yeah. I don't think I was. It makes total sense because he's talked so much so far. But I think it was just also like the fact that he was just sitting there waiting for them. He really didn't put up like much of a fight at all. And then he just started kind of monologuing in kind of your classic villain sense a little bit.
Yeah.
One cool thing there, he's basically just saying his ultimate thesis is, he's really not saying I'm malevolent. I'm just saying like, look, you're food. It's just like us. It's like us eating, fish or sushi. It's like that's food to us.
Right.
He goes, I'm impartial. I'm trying to survive. And granted,
he does say kids taste the sweetest.
He does say that. That's kind
and that's pretty monstrous.
He's twisting this knife there, but hey, fuck. I like beef better than chicken, baby. You know what I mean? Like,
it is an interest. I mean, it definitely paints them more as whatever species he is, as a species, not a supernatural occurrence. Which, again, and I know we're kind of already getting into it, but what that says for the future, because we know there's a season 2.
Right.
I think everyone right now is expecting Ben Middleton and Holly's character to come back because they were the show, and the show ends with him saying, we make a good team.
I've got some gripes and grapes there, but go ahead.
But I feel like I was expecting this episode to set up a season 2 more clearly. Like, I'm still not sure where they're going to go with season 2. Is it going to be this, every season's a different monster, they're traveling around, they're finding it, and they're, killing it? Is it going to be, we need to find the source of these things? Or is it going to be, we're trying to notify the government so they're aware? Like, I just kind of have no idea what direction it's going to go in.
That's a good question for Johnny. Johnny,
I would be so down with this being like an anthology, whether like the next season we see a whole different, like it could be in the Northwest or something.
Totally new characters?
Totally new characters.
Not even Holly coming back?
Maybe Holly shows up. You know what I mean? Just kind of pops up.
Maybe like last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And she's like coming in to help save the day.
Yeah. Or something like that.
I would like that.
See, that would be cool. Or you get into the X-Files effect where there's something else that's like malevolent, that's a supernatural being.
It's like controlling these things,
or something totally different than that. You know what I mean? Now,
the creatures are like different every time.
Yeah, kind of like the X-Files where they're hunting for Bigfoot. Yeah, it could be like a Bigfoot creature or something. But we've already seen stuff like that before. And this I think this first season was based on the book itself.
Yeah, it is. I know it is fairly different though.
Is there any mention of other monsters in the book?
I haven't read it. Yeah, I just did Wikipedia.
No, I mean I know that
I have no idea.
apparently I know some people that were watching it and they were excited for it because of the book, and they said the first 2 episodes are like verbatim the book, and then it's really kind of starts going different places. I would imagine, just knowing Stephen King, it was a much more fleshed out, and like because just Stephen King's very like intricate with his monsters and kind of explanations of what they are and what they do and how to defeat them. So I would be interested to see what the book version of this finale looks like. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a bit more extravagant.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Okay. Well, here's the
start.
thing.
I know you got some issues.
I got some issues.
Start
Here's
letting
the
them all
thing.
out.
I've been liking the show a lot, and I think with the finale, it kind of brought some of the issues to light. First of all, I really like Ben Mendelsohn as a hero character. Mm-hmm. We got a little bit of that last year,
dark brooding
with Captain Marvel. A little bit, he's more of a hero, fun kind of character.
But he's not Ben Mendelsohn on screen as much.
No, and that's my point. I'm saying like this is like okay, cool. We're getting a Ben Mendelsohn who's not like a Star Wars villain or a Ready Player One villain or X villain, and I really wanted to see his journey from his a father trying to get over this death of his son to this. That they clearly paint that in the beginning, right? Yeah. And so episode 2 or 3, we get Holly, right? Cynthia, whatever her name is. Cynthia Erivo.
Erivo.
Yeah, Erivo. Sorry, Cynthia. You get her coming in, and she definitely becomes the protagonist because she is therefore pushing the plot forward, and he is actually not doing anything. And even with the line at the end, which is a great line, an outsider knows an outsider. It's an amazing line. That even more so cements that she is the protagonist of the series. And there's nothing wrong with like breaking structure and having someone coming in later.
I mean, weird. I feel like you could argue they're a shared protagonist.
Well, what does he do other than like he's more of an antagonist?
I mean,
than the
his journey is more of one of belief. He has to come to a place where he can accept what he would normally never accept. Which I think there's several points of that. Part of that is like having to admit that maybe the son in his vision wasn't really him. It was the monster trying to play with him. There's just, I feel like he definitely had a journey. I mean, it wasn't maybe as pronounced. He didn't have like a eureka moment maybe, or like the dam breaking, tears coming to the eyes. He all sees everything clearly now, but he still had a long. I mean, he started out believing it was definitely what's his name, Jason Bateman. Mm-hmm. It took him forever to accept that could it possibly not be him, and then it took him the rest of the season to accept it could be a monster.
I think he also, like, even with that last episode, he's still unsure. You know what I mean?
It's like he doesn't want to believe.
Like he doesn't. Yeah, and so he's kind of like, because I mean, with her, because of her awkwardness and her quirkiness or whatever. I won't say quirky, but her. How unusual she is.
She's quirky. But that's part of what makes her so good.
And it's kind of like I hate to mention The Walking Dead, but you got your Rick who was the hero, and then you got Daryl who was a racist jackass in the first season, who now everybody loves.
He's like the protagonist of the show.
Yeah, and with her, she popped up on screen, and I just saw how different she was.
She stole every scene she was in.
She did. And not to mention her performances were fantastic.
Amazing, yeah.
Well, she's an Academy Award nominated actress too.
What is she nominated for?
Harriet.
Harriet. Okay.
Yeah.
Is she the lead?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was.
And she's been in tons of films, and I
think she's a singer too. She's like a singer.
Yeah.
Famous?
Well, she sang did she sing the song on Harriet as well?
She did.
Okay. Maybe
for the movie.
I think she did, or that was.
I've wanted to see Harriet. It looks really good.
Okay. Well, that's fine. That's fine, Daniel. But here's the thing. It kind of irritated me. She's like, here's another gripe for you. He's like, okay, we make a good team, and I'm like, what do you mean good team? Like, here's what you guys did collectively after you decided to go and basically, grab whatever his name is. It ain't Jack. It's the Colton or whatever his name is. The guy who ends up, or Claude. It was Claude Bolton. That's what it was. They get him right, and they're like, we're going to watch over him, and then basically. Episode 9 is essentially we're going to listen to the brother tell his story, and then we'll be like, okay, the killer is there, and we're going to go there the next episode. and then they don't do a whole lot together. I mean, it's not really like what about their relationship makes it special. You know, like you look at classic team ups. Let's say you look at, and I'm just going to pull these out of my ass. You look at Martin Riggs and Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon. You have Martin Riggs, who is the crazy loose cannon. You have Danny Glover, who is the more grounded down the earth one. So you have those complementary things balance each other out. But in this one, you have they do things together. These guys don't.
I feel like they do have complementary. I'll let you go first, John.
I agree. No, I totally agree. I think it's because both of them are like with her.
They're different. But what do they do together?
They go into the cave at the end together. They're the only two left standing to go into the cave.
Oh, damn. Well, I guess.
But think about it.
Cuco and Ben Middleton are also a great team.
Okay. Hold the fucking phone, okay? Just put it on motherfucking hold for a second, please.
The Rocks are a great team.
Put it
inside the cave.
I'm talking motherfucking call waiting right now because I have something to say.
Okay, please dial H for hero.
Okay, here's how I see them being a good team. For one, what makes them a dynamic as a duo? She believes. She has like no barrier to belief, and her mind is so logic and so like mathematical, but she can believe so easily at the same time. Whereas Ben Middleton is kind of this boots on the ground. He only believes what's in front of his face. You know, he's not the kind of guy that can look at a building and know how tall it is, but he's the kind of guy that can go into an interrogation room and get somebody to talk. So he's kind of that gruff police detective.
That was really nice, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice little metaphor.
But he's the police detective. He's the guy that can communicate, that knows how criminals work, that knows how the cops work, that can, get what needs to happen, get done practically. Okay. She's the one with the brains. She's the one that can see things no one else can.
That's great. But how did those two relationships together?
Well, they were communicating the whole time she was investigating, and she was out of town. She always called him to check in.
This was their communication. Do you have anything for me? I do, but I can't show you. I'll show you when I get there. That's how they communicated for 5 episodes.
It's a good team. I mean, like a bad boss says, "No, tell me now." He's patient.
And kind of like to add on what you just said. To me, like you said, Middleton can go inside of a room. Like if it's a dark room, she's the flashlight.
Right. Exactly.
So
he's the gun.
That's an even better.
And really, like when they walked into that cave, no one expected her to kill the monster. I didn't. Like I expected her to maybe talk to it. Well, if Ben Middleton had died, I would have expeced like if he had died in the attempt, it would have been her, obviously. But
here's my final gripe. Then
you feel like Ben's the one with the gun. Even in the cave, he's the one holding the gun.
As soon as Claude came out and shot him, I was like, it makes sense. It just because it made sense to me. But
wait, what?
When Claude came out and shot him, the guy who looks like him, Claude's the
when he killed it. Yeah, no, that was I enjoyed that they did that.
I didn't, but we got the thing with Ben Middleton coming back. I'm like, good, he's gonna kill him, just because to me, I think Ben is the character we started with, and so to me, he's like I want him to be protagonist because also I just like Ben Middleton. But why didn't you kill him the first time?
I don't think he knew he was dead.
He literally tells him, "I knew you were not dead."
Because he saw what he saw walking back. Because he saw those visions of his dead son and some other kid. I think it was
the kid from the first episode.
It was either that or it was the kid that was originally killed, Terry Maitland. Or sorry, the kid that Terry Maitland.
That's what I'm saying.
Or it was the kid that shot Terry Maitland at the courthouse. Because he was having like visions seeing that kid. You know
who he shot.
The kid that shot Terry when he was walking. Yeah. Then he killed him. It could have been him too.
It could have been. I thought it was the main. Actually, I think it's more. He looked a little older.
I think it's him and his own son.
Okay, because
so to me, it was like when they're walking back, he sees that vision and he has already identified the fact that the monster has spoken to him through his son in a dream. So I read that, I was like, oh shit, he's obviously still here. I wouldn't be seeing that.
Why the fuck would the monster do that to him?
I don't think he meant to. I think it was like I read it as like the monster's presence and the fact that he did something at one point. There's some kind of connection at some point. I don't know.
See, I took it as he was getting some otherworldly visitation from his son. B, he was just thinking about it or whatever, and he just went back. It didn't.
It was definitely what he saw because he stops cold. They're both carrying them, and he stops.
He does stop, but it was just the way he talks about it with El Cuco. To me, it didn't translate, and I might be wrong, but it just didn't translate to me that what he saw made him go back. It was I knew this from the beginning. And he basically tells him things like, I mean, we're getting his thoughts poured out, but I don't know. I just something.
How did you read it, Johnny? What did you read from it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure myself.
We've confused you. We both make great points.
I confused myself.
It's just. I think it's just.
It don't matter.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it probably
okay.
doesn't. But here's again, I think a beautiful difference between them and why I think they could make a good team. She's the one that would have turned him into the government and wanted them to perk and prod, and he's the guy that's like, "No, motherfucker, I'm smashing your brains." You know, like she never makes that decision. She's the one that calls the science labs.
Oh, I think
and gets them to come in.
I think for hundreds. I really see it.
No, I think she's totally. I think she because the first thing she's asking, "What are you? Are there more of you?" That's where her thought. That's where her brain is.
But that's not like. It is part of a quest to know the unknown, but I think it's more of a I need to stop other people, because she was way willing to break the law or to do X, Y, and Z just to stop this thing. It had nothing to do with. But I think her. Because to me, whenever I think of someone dissecting something, I think of a government kind of thing doing something for an intent other than what is morally correct.
The way I think about it, and I would assume in her super logical way, is that if there are more of these, the fastest and most efficient way to do that is to identify them so that we can not just find some way to identify them, special goggles, infrared, some bullshit, so that we know when they're taking the form of another human so we can catch them. I mean, like if you're thinking about it logically, how do we catch them all? We need to know how to identify them. We don't know what they are, what their weaknesses are, and we need to have everyone in the world know so everyone can be on the lookout, because they could be anywhere and they could be anyone. Right. You know, that's where I was thinking that does make sense from a logical point, but also I kind of like that Ben Mendelsohn is the emotion, the no fuck you, smash your head. I don't know.
So move on because we're running out of time here. Do you real quick from you two? What would your ideal situation be for season 2? Do you want the Creature of the Week thing? If you could pick one, not speculate, but pick one. Do you want Creature of the Week, or do you want Ben and Cynthia coming back, or do you want new characters, new anthology, kind of like a American Horror Story kind of thing? Johnny,
I think it'd be interesting to see if they continue with whatever that thing is. If they went to a different location, kind of like I'd say Walking Dead because I don't watch it anymore. Right. But they did that other season, where it took place in LA. But if they went to like like I said, Pacific Northwest or even Texas or something like that, I think it'd be interesting to see with the different characters, like True Detective.
Right.
So something like that, but still, but don't venture too far from it. But it's really, really interesting. Of course, the first episode. It felt very much like the first episode of True Detective, where you saw something, really gritty and dirty and graphic, and that sets that puts you in that spot of like uneasiness. Yeah, it totally sets the tone of that feeling of like what is this thing? What. So we'll have to see that again. I'm sure it'll be almost like basically a repeat, unless they can like figure out a way to give us more answers of what these things are.
Right, that's a good thing. Daniel.
Yeah. So. There's a part of me that wants a little anthology, but here's the issue I see with that. If it's anthology and we're hunting the same kinds of monsters, you're going to have to figure out something different to do, because, half of the tension in the show was just, what the fuck is this thing? Right? Like the first 5 or 6 episodes before we got Holly's kind of moment figuring it out and presenting it, we just didn't know what it was. And that was kind of a lot of the suspense, a lot of the terror, a lot of the tension and the drive to keep watching and the hunger for the next episode, right? To me, it was. And then, of course, once it's revealed, it's, okay, well, how do they deal with it now? And who dies in the process? So I think there's part of me that would love, we get some different part of the country, it's the same kind of monster, different cast, and then, let's say 10 episodes, episode 8, somehow Collie finds them. And then... she's like coming to assess it. At the end of episode 8, she makes a phone call. Episode 9, Ben Mendelsohn arrives. And they're like, all right, we got another one. Let's go get this motherfucker.
To me, that feels like Luke Skywalker coming at the very end, and then like you're still in the spotlight from these new characters.
No, but here's what I would say to do with that is then season 3 is not anthology. Season 3 is taking Ben and Holly from season 1, whoever we find and attach to in season 2, and now we're on a motherfucking manhunt.
No, I like that. If you do that with 3, then I'm in for it. But yeah, okay.
No, like a little mix of both.
Yeah, everything you just said, like where you have the first 5 or 6 episodes where they're, investigating whatever, and then they come across like, well, this has happened somewhere else.
Exactly. And then you start tying people in. Yeah. And that'll be great. There'll be great reveals, getting to mix characters. I don't know. That just sounds really nice.
Okay. Oh, you sold me on it. I'm in for it now.
Graham?
Let's move on.
I'll take my royalties check.
Let's move on from The Outsider. And let's kind of wrap this show up real quick and talk about, acting locally or being involved in the film community. And I think there's no better person than talk about that than Johnnie Brannon.
How many films have you been in? Do you have a list?
Yeah, well,
Let's say involved in. I'm not even saying acted. Involved. Do you have a total list there?
over probably about 70, 80, maybe more.
Wow.
Locally, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good. More than me.
Real quick, I'm going to run a few questions by you. And again, we're running low on time, but I want to get some good answers from you.
Yeah.
And there's some things we talked about it previously ahead of time, and just things that I think it's good for people out there who may be getting into acting, who maybe want to pick something else new up, or just general knowledge about it, and some good topics we talk about all the time. First one: why is it okay to say yes to a bad film, and why is it okay to say no to that bad film? We're talking about acting. Like, why is it okay to say, yeah, I'll work on this bad movie, and then why is it okay to say, you know what, maybe I don't want to work on it?
Does that situation? Do you have to call it a bad movie when you answer that question?
You don't have to. You don't have to say a bad
You
movie.
like when they're like, "Hey, would you be in this?" Yes, I will be in this bad movie.
Maybe like I'll rephrase it. Why is it okay to work on a Daniel Wingfield movie, and then why is it okay to not
versus working on a Donovan Thompson movie, which is going to bug us?
Well, I think the most important thing is that whenever you're making, where we're at in Arkansas is it's a small state. Okay. So there's a lot of different, fractions as far as there's filmmakers in Northwest Arkansas, there's filmmakers here. The landscape has changed so much within the last few years with the Little Rock Film Festival, not being here. The thing about the Little Rock Film Festival when it was here, and this is what we're trying to do with Made in Arkansas, is to show films so that it brings people together, whether it brings actors together, filmmakers. When you see a production that's quality production, you want to make good movies, obviously.
Right.
That's really, really important. If you're making stuff that, and I'm not knocking cell phone footage. I think cell phone, I'm going to shoot stuff with cell phones, but it's the way you do it. It's how you do it.
Right.
Sure.
You want to make sure that it looks cinematic. Now, the word cinematic is really important.
All that means is a filter and black bars, right?
Pretty much. That's pretty much.
That's all I do.
Just make it look.
It's working okay for me.
Just exactly, and you get
blue filter, maybe a pink light and a blue light, or an orange light and a blue light. I mean, basically, what we're making a movie right now because we've got a blue light, we've got an orange light. It's 2 for 1. This is a movie.
Well, I think it's really important that because you're going to show your work to there's people who's going to see this work. Right. And you got agents who's going to see this work, and there's people in the film community here in Arkansas that's going to see what you're doing, and they're going to be able to tell right off whether you're taking it seriously or not. You can talk about working on films all day long, but when you show films that don't have high quality production value, that looks like something that you just do together, and you're still trying to say like, well, I am an actor here in Arkansas, it doesn't mesh. It doesn't add up. So it's really, really important to know that when you're working on a film, first the script, make sure the script's good, make sure that the crew know what they're doing, investigate, look at their stuff, what are you shooting with, who's your AD, or what have you done before? Look, you got demo reel, things like that. It's really important. Like myself, like you said, I worked on a ton of films, and I was lucky enough to start off with some really awesome filmmakers from UCA. And I saw quality, product. And I really encouraged all my friends who are actors in theater here to be a part of this. And I wanted to see good filmmakers work with great actors, or great filmmakers work with great actors.
Sure.
The most important thing is to make a quality product. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. But, it's the thing is that there's a lot of people out there that are weekend warriors that will go work on anything and everything. Nothing wrong with that at all, I promise you. But if you really want to take this seriously, you're going to want to make sure that you get on some quality film.
Quality over quantity.
Quality over quantity. You can make 100 bad films and nobody's going to take you serious, but you can make 3 really good films that are doing something in festivals or
Marvel might hire you.
And Marvel might hire you. I mean,
this is kind of serious.
I'll tell you this right now. As a filmmaker, if I'm directing a film and I know that actors have done background work on other films and they just run and jump on anything and everything, then I'm going to know that they probably will do the same for me. Sure. And, I'd love for you to audition, but if you're one who goes out there and keeps working on bad stuff, it's really hard for me to take you seriously too. And that's why I don't jump on product.
That's a great question.
So
Now, obviously, we're talking about actors that if you're acting with the ambition of career acting, obviously, if you're just doing it for fun,
just go for
do
it.
you,
Right.
man? Come on.
Another question. No, that's great. Why is it okay? And this is something that's basically in the Me Too movement. And I kind of want to bring it up just 'cause I think it's important to talk about it again. Why is it okay to speak up on set when we are feeling uncomfortable? I feel like there are, people above the line, specifically them, and it can be below the line too, but people above the line have a position of power a lot of times, whether it be locally or even on a big film set. And I feel like we should let people know it's okay if you're feeling uncomfortable, even if it's something minute. Go tell your AD, and if go tell someone that you feel comfortable with. And why is it important that we speak up on set and basically, I wouldn't say call out the people who are doing this kind of behavior, but why is it important to, make sure we have a good and healthy film community?
Well, that's the most important thing is safety. And there's a lot of women and there's a lot of kids who want to be a part of our film scene. And I think that's incredible. And I think more women and children should be a part of it. But, when you get on a set and let's say there's, subjective material on there, you got to make sure that your set is done right. Even though if it's not a SAG low or big fit, anything like that, safety is extremely important. And so, and you want to make sure that your actors and actresses feel comfortable. But if you're doing something shady, word gets out and people talk. And I've been on sets where there's things that's happened, and I've been on sets where I've heard about people doing things, and I've asked people about it. The community here is so small that word does get out. And so, and I don't forget this stuff at all. And if I see somebody that's going to get ready to work on a film, well, heck, for example, we got our Blue Jeep Bandit, the local guy who was, stalking teenage girls here in Little Rock. I don't want this guy to be working with women and children. I want to make sure that my friends know exactly who this guy is. So I'll share it on Facebook.
And then it's our job to make sure they're informed, and it's their job to make a decision on whether they want to work with them or not.
Absolutely. So I can tell you this, but if you want to go work with people who do that, that's fine. But it makes me question, like, why would, you know what I mean? I mean, like, I don't know. Why would you want to go work with somebody who's a level 5 sex offender or who's, or level 4? I'm not sure what the level is.
I mean, I think
level 27.
Level 27.
level Charizard.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think the reason is, and I'm just kind of doing my own hypothesizing, is that this is such a business and industry built on breaking out and making it, and that one role that catapults your career. And there's so many romantic stories of that happening in Hollywood. So I'm sure when people are looking, but this role is so good, but what if this is my break? And I think it also probably is just there's a history of skeezy movie making culture,
right? And
not that any of us are like we were born into it, like, and none of us are skeezy. We're normal people. At least I hope so, most of the time. But I think there is still like an acceptedness of like sleaziness more so. It's almost like it's a movie. I don't know. Like there's just like kind of this accepted level of
we're a theater group, we're going to spin the bottle and all make out with each other because
we're
in the theater.
a little bit for sure, but there's just I don't know, there's something.
Might be a bad analogy. I love you, theater people.
I hate you all. I am one of you, that's why I hate you.
No, it's good. I get what you're saying. I think it's complicated, but hopefully it seems like we have been making strides in the last couple of years, and hopefully that wasn't just big flashy things. Hopefully we'll get down to the roots of it all on a big Hollywood level and also on a ground roots local level too.
Bottom line, be good to each other. Yeah. Don't be a bad person. And if you have inclinations to doing bad things, get therapy. Fixed it. I fixed
there you go. You fixed humanity. And lastly, I want to ask you about this, Johnny. You mentioned earlier that you guys are doing the Made in Arkansas Film Festival. And one thing, and I think I'm guilty of this too, but whenever we have a film festival going on, sometimes they last a day or a couple of days or maybe even a week. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of films playing. And sometimes, okay, look, I know that my film's playing on Friday night and I can't make it Saturday and Sunday, but I'm going to go see my film because I want to support it and do a Q&A. But, I'm not saying that everybody has to go watch every block, but why is it important to go if you want to go to the festival or go to these other blocks, why is it important to support other people's films and instead of just watching your own movie then leaving? Like, why is that a bad thing, and why should we not do
I think
it all
when
the
you
time?
I think when you're watching your own film, you're not watching other films. You're cheating yourself for one thing. You're not, for one, you're not, seeing like who's making films that you may want to work on or filmmakers you want to work with. It looks really bad, I think, whenever you just go and support your own film. You miss a lot of stuff. You miss, like I said, you miss seeing like let's say you work, like going back a little bit, you're working on a film that's not good quality product, and you've done a number of these films. Let's say then you go to a festival and you see something and you've heard of this person, like let's say Daniel Wingfield or Donovan Thompson, and you're like, oh, you see their films, you're
not likely.
I see what they're doing. That looks incredible, and I want to work with these guys. Then you go up there and you say, hey, look, my name's so and so. I'm on Facebook. I'd love to work on your next film. I'd love to come audition for it at least. This is why you need to go to these festivals, so you can see what people are working on.
Well, I even give it even as a filmmaker too. I casted half of my most recent film. Okay, sorry.
Just cast.
Okay, excuse me, Mr. Grammar Nazi.
No,
Heil, Johnny.
Hey, Daniel, go fuck yourself.
Oh, I will. It's on the calendar. Anyway, my most recent film should be debuting this year. Stay tuned. I casted my lead actor at the Fayetteville Film Festival 2017, I want to say.
Yeah.
I was there. I saw a movie. It was called Davion. Sorry. Davion. I think it's still on Netflix. And I'd already kind of had something in the works that I thought some similar actors were there for. Luckily, the actors of that film were there to watch it and do some Q&A. I just went up to them after and said, hey guys, I'm making a film about this. Would y'all be interested? They were like, yeah. And from there, we've been working together for 3 years.
There you go.
Right? Like I casted my film and got one of my associate producers from that project. And automatically we had so much more doors open to us because they had just filmed a very similar film in Little Rock. So I mean, it's that cut a lot of my work in half.
I mentioned this earlier. No, that's great. I mentioned this earlier. I don't want to say, hey, you have a film plan this weekend. You have to go to every single block. Like,
that's unreasonable.
There's things come up and people have lives and they have schedules, and sometimes you can only go see your film or, and it's good to promote your film. But I'm saying if you had the opportunity to, I would implore you to go and branch out and, take advantage of the festival.
Yeah.
Take advantage of your peers. And I'd say advantage, I mean, take
advantage of the opportunity.
Exactly.
We had such a great year last year with our festival. Friday night was incredible. We had 3 blocks: comedy, the comedy block. We had the horror, sci-fi, suspense, and then we had a WTF block, and it was just nuts. But we had a lot of filmmakers there that were there supporting each other and supporting and the atmosphere itself. Everybody walked out into the lobby and they were all like talking and they were like exchanging numbers and stuff like that. It was such an incredible euphoric feeling of that once you go to these festivals locally, whether it be Fayetteville, whether it be ours or ACS's festivals or, Bentonville.
Hot dogs.
Yeah. When you see that stuff, you get so jazzed and you're just like, I want to work on other people's films. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're wanting to do. And, it's like you said, it's really important that you do go and see these films. I know almost every actor in the state, on whether it be on Facebook, and we've chatted, or we're Facebook friends, whatever. And last year there was several Central Arkansas actors I know that are constantly working that didn't show up. And I know I've seen some of the films they've worked on, and they should have been there. They could have seen some really, really good quality films. They could have probably met some really great filmmakers and been working on their next films.
Well, you get inspired.
I do. I was going to say,
yeah.
I the most inspirational place is like going to a block that has maybe 10 short films. I feel like I come out of there with 10 ideas.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that idea. It's like, it's inspiring.
Yes.
You're like, oh, but
it pushes you to be a better filmmaker.
does.
You're like, man, I want to make better content. And then again, it gives you an outlet to connect with people. Not only your crew, but mainly also your cast, and it shows you like, man, this year was such a great thing. I want my film to be there next year,
right?
And it just keeps pushing you, push you to be not only a better filmmaker, but even if it's just for fun, I think it's fun to have your movie screened.
It's so much fun, especially when you get to put it in a nice theater like the Ron Robinson and get that experience, especially if you've only watched it on your computer screen, like most of us have.
Yeah.
Getting to watch it on those nice speakers, that nice screen, the seat, there's something really special.
Better than being a crowd of not only your friends and family, people you don't even know, and you're eating popcorn, drinking a soda, having some Milk Duds or whatever candy you like, and watching your movie on like a 100-foot screen. It's something. It's nerve-wracking as hell.
Oh yes,
but it's something magical about
yes, it is.
Well, okay, great. So I think we wrapped up our discussion there. Johnny, thank you so much for talking to us about not only The Outsider, but also some cool filmmaking tips and tricks.
One more time, can you hit us with the bullet point deets on Made in Arkansas? When, deadline, where?
Yes, you can go to our Facebook page, Made in Arkansas, and we are taking submissions until April 24th. Plenty of time to get your films in. Even if you want to make one now,
totally.
You got plenty of time. So definitely do that. We'll have ticket information later. We'll after April 24th, I think on May 1st, we'll announce all the films that are in the festival. It's 3 days. It's going to be very affordable. Like last year. The first 2 nights, they were $5 each. So you got a feature film on the opening night. You got 18 short films on Friday night for $5. Our first 2 nights this year is going to be similar to that, but then we're also working in probably passes for the whole weekend.
That's
so
cool.
Because we're going to have so many films screening. Anyway, yes.
No, that's great. That's awesome.
Yes.
Daniel,
May 14th, right?
May 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Perfect. Daniel, where can our subscribers write into us?
Our hundreds of subscribers can go to bit.ly/241.
Honestly, I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't tell them.
Why?
Because there's so many. I'm tired of reading them all.
That's true.
Right.
There's too much mail. bit.ly/241mail.
Perfect. And if you want to find anything else on Podcast 241, please go to podcast241.com. There you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Don't skip Twitter. Twitter's not good.
Twitter
sucks.
And of course, we always recommend you go into our YouTube channel, and that's the best way to consume the content. If not, you can find us on all your podcast
consume
devices.
it right into your little bellies.
Yeah, and if you happen to find any of those channels or podcast services or YouTube, please leave us a rating, like or subscribe, all that fancy stuff. Turn your notifications on. That way you know when you're always getting Podcast 241. So again, Johnnie Brannon, thank you so much for being here. I've been wanting you on the podcast since we started. This is episode 25.
We've made it.
So we're halfway. Again, check our Instagram for something really cool happening. And pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
My name is Donovan Thompson.
I'm Daniel Wingfield.
I'm Johnnie Brannon.
And we have spoken.